Sandra Sysojeva, as I said, made her international debut in Lithuania in 2012. Originally competed for Lithuania, switched to Poland in 2024. And she rides Maxima Bella.
Yes, and fasten your seatbelts, because if you want to see spring off the floor, I don't know that you're going to see much more than this wonderful mare can do. Beautiful halt with the hind legs underneath. A lovely move off. Again, lovely frame in the neck. Open. And here we go. So, well, I don't need to talk about the front legs there. What about the hind legs? And if you look at the hind legs, they're very good. There's nothing wrong with those hind legs. Can they match the front legs? Of course not, because that would just not be possible. But the hind legs were perfectly good in that. And this is an exceptional moving horse. Look at the reach outward with that right front leg. And the spring, the air time. And this horse is only 9 years old. Can you imagine how nice it is to sit on that? Good square hole. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now we're going extended trot, and I'm really pleased that the mist has risen, because otherwise Sandra's head in this passage would be heading up to that mist, because there's so much height in this passage. See what I mean? And now the piaffe. Incredible movement, and this is by nature. This horse has this by nature. This isn't something, obviously Sandra has nurtured it and developed it, but you can't put that kind of movement on a horse. It is what it is, and her biggest job in nurturing it is to make sure that the horse doesn't give too much, because you've got to keep these horses going for many years. And what a walk. Talk about purpose and marching. You wouldn't miss the bus if you were walking on the horse like that. It would always get you to the bus stop on time. And that's what you want in an extended walk. Settling the horse in the head and neck. No problem to get into passage with this horse. So limb-wise, it's really hard to fold. And then you've got a sort of head, neck and mouth to think about. Wow. And again, you know, if you look at her legs, she's hardly touching the horse. Get a little gentle touch, which is all you should be doing with your legs. So around the 8s for all of that. She's really balancing the horse as she finishes those changes. You could see her then just using her fingers a little bit to make sure that that big bouncy canter also stayed coordinated with the hind legs. Punchy hind leg. Ooh, almost too much bounce just before the change. Good bend to the right. And just appeared a little bit as if the quarters were leading to the left. Difficult from our camera angle, and definitely from our commentary position, we're not in the best place to see that. And So again, a bit of rebalancing from Sandra there. That was clever riding. Nice approach to the pirouette, didn't collect too early. Left hind leg got a step a tiny bit more underneath the support, but Sandra riding forward for that change, and after that change you've got to gently come back, or a little bit of extra movement going on there with the hind legs not required, where the horse jumped a bit together, overactive in the hind legs, then together. So that's going to pull the marks down a bit. You can see the potential for this horse. In fact, you know, the issues are that it sometimes produces too much movement in the front legs, or like we saw in the pirouette, a bit too much not required movement in the hind legs. So it's toning everything down in a situation like this. It's actually quite a nice situation to be in, to tone things down. Well, that is just quite an incredible PF and transition to that, which we're sideways on for. Yeah, between 8 and 8.5. Wouldn't have been surprised if individual side judges gave that more. Very exciting horse. Very unusual horse, actually.
But a horse average on the scores as well, not a million miles away from personal best, not quite there.
Yeah, and an unusual horse, and as I said, really the deal there is to slightly tone things down. Tone things down, so for instance, in the extended trot, there isn't this exaggerated movement that you're seeing with the front legs. I mean, Sandra isn't asking for that. With horses that have this free, huge range of movement through their shoulders and the forelimbs, you know, that's what you can get. It's not that you want it because you want to tone it down, but sometimes you don't have the ability to do that. Here we're seeing the Piaf, and look at the hind legs where they're placed when she puts them on the floor. But in terms of a horse willingness and offering this athleticism, you know, that again, it's a lovely challenge to have when they offer you a bit too much. And there's the difficulty in the right pirouette. The right hind leg was not in the right place. That stepping together in that third, fourth step was inevitable in my view. It was happening just before that pirouette. And again, it stems for just before the pirouette, the horse overreacted in the hind leg and didn't bring it in the right place.
What you're going to see here is